Hello everyone, I'm Motas, your German trainer and German instructor, and I'm glad to be with you today. And we will discuss miscommunication in Germany and how to avoid miscommunication. So let's begin. Common miscommunications and how to avoid them. Some facts about miscommunications and also common causes of miscommunications, common reasons of miscommunications. First, here in this slide, it's about false friends. And false friends, it means that a word or a term that resembles another term in another language, but different in meaning. And we'll go into some details about it in order to understand clearly what it is and um, how to deal with that. Some German words look like English words but mean something totally different. And here are some examples. Gift sounds like a nice present, but it means poison. In German, it means poison, and its pronunciation is Gift. Yeah? Rat. The pronunciation of this term, Draht, is totally different of the pronunciation of the English term, which is rat. So Draht in German is advice. It's totally different from the English meaning, which is rat. It's an animal. Chef, for instance, chef had the same pronunciation in both German and English, but the meaning is totally different. In German, it means boss, but in English, it means a cook. Handy, also with the same pronunciation in both German and English, but with totally different meanings. It means in English useful, but in German it means a mobile phone. A mobile phone in German. Rock, also with the same pronunciation, but a totally different meaning. In English it means music or a stone, but in German it means a skirt. So these are examples of false friends or terms that resembles other terms in, for example, in your native language that resembles other terms or look like other terms in other language, but with totally different meanings. These are some examples. So that's the first main cause of miscommunication in Germany, which is language nuances or false friends. There are also some other main causes of miscommunications in Germany. Miscommunications in Germany stems from differences in communication styles and cultural norms. The German communication style is considered to be low context, direct, and factual, and that's why it can be misinterpreted by people from other high context and indirect cultures. The other main causes of miscommunication in Germany can be directness. And we discussed that and we explained that before. Um, as we went deeper into directness and how to stick to directness and how important is directness in Germany. But we'll go into some details also today and we'll highlight also this main cause of miscommunication in Germany and other causes of miscommunication. So directness can be misinterpreted from other cultures, from other indirect or high context cultures in Germany as rudeness and bluntness. But Germans focus on the content, which is the what between brackets, rather than the relationship or the personal or the person's feelings, which is between brackets how. That means that the German don't care about how what they say, how what they want to convey implies or affects you or affects your feelings. But what's most important for the Germans is that what they want to convey, what they want to say is said and conveyed directly, straightforward, and explicitly. So that's most important for the Germans. And that's why they value clarity, honesty, and precision. So a direct no or criticism, a factual criticism, is meant to be constructive in Germany and is a sign of respect for others' time and also for the matter at hand. So it's not meant to be rude or to be harsh, to say direct no or to criticize others or others' opinions and so on. It's also a sign of the very important value in the German culture, which is directness. And also to be straightforward, how to be efficient by being straightforward and direct in Germany. And that's why for the people that come from other indirect and high context cultures, the directness of the German can be misinterpreted and can be perceived as rude, harsh, impolite, aggressive, or overly critical. And that's why it's so important to know how important directness in Germany and for the Germans is in order not to be involved or not to be confused about the difference between directness in Germany and impoliteness. Directness in Germany isn't meant to be impolite or rude. So it's so important to make a remark on directness and how important this directness in Germany is. The second or the next main cause of miscommunication in Germany is the emphasis on structure and preparation. Projects and businesses in Germany are characterized or are based on details, thorough preparation, and that's why decisions are slower and are based on methods and are more methodical because they rely on facts, figures, and established procedures. So it's important for the Germans to be structured, as we have illustrated and explained before, and we have learned together before that they are structured, and especially in the work or in the business contexts. And they place a great importance or a big importance on details and thorough preparation. So any lack of supporting data or any rely on improvisation or any informal or vague proposals can be perceived and misinterpreted and considered as waste of time and lack of seriousness. And that's why it's so important in Germany to be well prepared, especially in the work context. So that's the second main cause of miscommunication in Germany. The third main cause of miscommunication in Germany is formality. Formality is a default for the Germans and in Germany. It's expected from the Germans and from other people also in Germany when addressing other people that they address them using the formal pronoun sie, and we have learned that together before. The formal pronoun sie with the last name and the titles for example, Herr or Frau. And you have to consider also the academical titles as doctor, professor, whatever it is. So you have to stick to formality in Germany till you are explicitly invited to be informal and to use the first name and use the informal pronoun du. Being informal or addressing other peoples informally and use the informal pronoun to and the first name directly or too early can be perceived as impolite and disrespectful. So that's also a main cause of miscommunication in Germany. Take your time, and I have explained that before, take your time before you address other people informally. The next main cause of miscommunication in Germany is small talk. Small talk has to be limited, especially in the business context. Germans tend to keep their professional and personal lives separate. And in a business context or in a work context, the focus is on the agenda. That means that's work first and then the pleasure. And that's why a lot of casual small talk before getting to the point can be perceived from the Germans as disrespectful for the times of others and not well prepared. And that's a bad impression of yourself. And also not being serious and getting you to the point and conveying your message. So you have to narrow down the small talk or the casual small talk, especially in the business context, in order to leave a good impression of yourself. And the final main cause of miscommunication in Germany is the language nuances or also the false friends, as we have learned together these examples of the false friends. So, false friends are words that look or sound similar in English and German but have different meanings, and sometimes also have different pronunciations. These can lead to misunderstandings in conversations. Example, Gift in English versus Gift in German, which means poison. Gift in German means poison. But it's normal to not to know or not to be well acquainted with the false friends in German. So you will take your time and you will learn these differences or these nuances between your native language and the German language with time. And the German also expect that you aren't aware about all the nuances or the language nuances in German as you are new in Germany for instance, or that you didn't spend a lot of time in Germany, and that's why you aren't well acquainted with all the language nuances and also the false friends. Another examples of false friends in German, chef in English with the same pronunciation, chef in German, which means boss, not a cook. Kind is the German term kind, but in German it's Kind or it's pronounced Kind. Kind is a child in German, not kindness. Brief in English with the same pronunciation in German brief, but it means letter, not short. Rat in English, Rat in German, different pronunciation. And Rat in German means advice. It's not an animal, as in English. Bald in English, which means person with no hair. And bald in German. Do you notice the difference in pronunciation between the two terms? Bald in German means soon. Fabric in English. Fabrik in German. And the Fabrik or die Fabrik in German means factory, not clothes. Sympathetic in English looks like sympathisch in German, but you have noticed the different pronunciation of this German term, sympathisch. Likeable, not empathic, not empathetic. College, the English term college, which means university. But Kollege, a German term, means colleague, not a university, as the German or as the English term. Mobile, the English term, which means a phone, a smartphone, or a cell phone. Mobil in German means movable, not a phone, as in English. Roman, which is a Roman person. Roman is the German term with a slightly difference in pronunciation, which means novel in German. Clarifying doubts. As I've mentioned, misunderstandings can happen due to false friends, pronunciation issues, or cultural differences. And we went through some main cultural differences that can lead to miscommunication in Germany, as directness, emphasis on structure and details and preparation, formality, and limited small talk. These are all cultural differences that may lead to miscommunication or breakdown of miscommunication, beside false friends and language nuances. Germans appreciate direct and clear communication, but also politeness, as we have examined, as we have explained and learned together. That's so important. Instead of assuming meaning or guessing meaning, it's better to ask for clarification. In order not to be confused about, for example, something that was told in a meeting, and it's so important to know and to be aware about this, what's told. And in order to do your work properly, if you feel confused about the meaning or about the intention or about the goal and the object of what's said or what's conveyed in the meeting, you have to ask for clarification. If this means what you haven't understood or means something else. So not to be embarrassed, to ask for clarification in order to do your work properly. And in general, in Germany, in your daily life. So feel free to ask for clarification if you don't understand a term, or if you um, not sure about understanding what's said. In order not to be confused, you have to ask for clarification. How to ask for clarification politely? These are some phrases and expressions to use how to ask for clarification in German, politely. Könnten Sie das bitte wiederholen? Könnten Sie das bitte wiederholen? Could you please repeat that? Was bedeutet dieses Wort? You can also add Entschuldigung or bitte. And we have learned together also the forms or the expressions that you use in order to be polite and to communicate with others politely. Bitte, Entschuldigung are phrases that you usually use in order to be polite in your conversation, in your contact with others. So you can add, for instance, here, bitte, was bedeutet dieses Wort? Or you can add bitte at the end of the question. Was bedeutet dieses Wort, bitte? Or you can add Entschuldigung. Entschuldigung or entschuldigen Sie bitte. Was bedeutet dieses Wort? What does this word mean? Könnten Sie das bitte langsamer sagen? You notice here the usage of bitte as a polite form of asking. Könnten Sie das bitte langsamer sagen? Could you please say that more slowly? Ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob ich das richtig verstanden habe. Ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob ich das richtig verstanden habe. I'm not sure if I understood that correctly. And that's a better form than the form of directly asking using what or was in German. So you can use this form. Ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob ich das richtig verstanden habe, instead of was bedeutet dieses Wort. You can use this question or this form. Was bedeutet dieses Wort? Dieses Wort. Absolutely. But it's better to use this form. And something to learn about the German culture and the German mentality. You can freely use the question using was or what directly. Asking about, for instance, the meaning of a term. Was bedeutet das? But it's better to convey a message to the other person that you're asking about the meaning, that you exerted an effort yourself before asking about the meaning of the word in order to get to the meaning of this word or this term before asking. How to convey this message, how to inform indirectly the other person that you have exerted effort to um, know the meaning of the term before asking about it. You can say, for instance, if you just did some search, you can say, okay, I have done some search about the meaning of this term or about the meaning of this phrase, but I'm not sure if it means that or if it means that, for instance. That's so that's much better than asking directly, what does that mean or was bedeutet das? Yeah, it's a general information for you about the mentality and the character of the German. They prefer to feel from you, to get the impression from you that you exerted effort in order to get to some information before asking directly about the information, because they don't like the fact of presenting the information to you without exerting any effort to get this information. Yeah, that's the general information about the German mentality and the German culture and the German character. So use polite phrases like Entschuldigung, as I've just mentioned, before asking, which is excuse me. Yeah, and also bitte, bitte. Avoid saying was or asking using was directly. What? It can sound impolite. Yeah, in if you aren't well acquainted or familiar, or you aren't in on a good terms with your work colleagues, for instance, so it's better to um, use another form instead of was or what. But with time, you can use this form if you are well acquainted with your colleagues. For instance, I mean, we concentrate on the work constants here or the business context here because asking for clarification um, is often used in the work context or in the business context. And it's so important also to ask for clarification in the business context, as I mentioned before, in order to not be confused about the objective of a main or of a main task, or for instance, to know the goal of your work or what you're going to do or you have to do in the next period. And if it has to do with, for instance, a deadline or something like that, you have to stick to the instructions that were conveyed to you in a meeting, for instance. And that's why you frequently are expected to ask about clarification in the work context or in the business context rather than in your daily life. But you also can freely ask for clarification in your daily life in Germany. Next, instead of using was, use könnten Sie bitte das erklären? Could you please explain that? Because here you have used um, this word bitte, which is a polite form to ask for something. And also you have to use the formal pronoun, which sie, and that's why it sounds more polite to use this form, to use this question, than directly asking using was or what. Repeat back what you understood and ask if it's correct. It's important to repeat back what you have understood in order to not to let your improvisation take place in understanding what's conveyed to you. I mean, if something was told to you, you have to repeat what's told to you or what you have understood from what's said to you in order to make sure that what you have understood is properly and is correct. Because it's possible that you interpreted something based on your culture, based on your mentality, and you have different culture as they mentioned, the German culture, and also different mentality. So um, the Germans convey the message um, directly and straightforward and frankly, but however, you have to repeat also what you have understood in order to be sure that you understood all what you conveyed to you properly and correctly. Um, it's an emphasis on Entschuldigung. And then here, if you explain something, for example, if you ask for something, if you ask for clarification about something specific, and this term then, which means in English because, you can also use while if you are in the level of A1 or A2 in German, you have to understand or you have to learn then and also while, and you have also to learn and to know the difference between using these two different terms, then and while. But in general, you use then in order to explain why something happens, in order to explain the cause, to explain the reason. It means because in English. And that's ein example. Ich trinke Cola, denn ich habe Durst. Ich trinke Cola, denn ich habe Durst. I drink cola because I'm thirsty. So if you ask a German person about something or about clarification, so he or she often uses then in order to explain why is that said or why is that done, and so on. Here is a role play. Use all the false friends that you have learned and let the other participants understand the real meaning of them. We have learned together some false friends and language nuances between your native or between the English and the German. So you have to practice these false friends and try to, if you, for instance, um, don't understand the meaning of the German term, which resembles or looks like the English term. So try to make use of these phrases that we have learned together. Könnten Sie bitte das wiederholen, for instance, or was bedeutet dieses Wort? Ja. Könnten Sie das bitte langsamer sagen? For instance, if there is nuance between the pronunciation of the English term and the German term, so you have noticed a nuance or a slight difference between the pronunciation of the two terms in both languages. So you can use this question, könnten Sie das bitte langsamer sagen? In order to be sure that there is a difference in the pronunciation between the two terms in English and in German. Ja. Ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob ich das richtig verstanden habe. You can use also this phrase. So train yourself in order to clarify the false friends that you discover or that you figure out in Germany, and to be sure that these terms that resembles or look like the terms in English have the same meaning or not. So that's for today, and not to forget to train yourself and to learn these phrases and these expressions that we have learned together, and to train yourself and to apply these expressions on asking about clarification about false friends or clarification about any other something that you want to understand properly in your work context. Imagine or try to imagine that you are engaged in confused situation in your work context, for instance, in Germany. And we have learned before what situations that you can be engaged in which you are expected to be confused, and try to train and practice these expressions that we have learned together today. Thanks a lot for today, and wishing you have a good day, and see you next time. Bye bye.